test.
Hard to plan anything.
What's your
Even with FCM,
want this? So it's good.
what are the chances? Good chance it
I
won't
don't know,
happen.
but it's working.
I keep asking what they want to be when they grow up, but
Everything.
Haven't come up with an
but
answer
it's
yet.
good. You know, when it's coming, it's coming in.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can't let up.
No, you can't.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Council, welcome here. Thank you for showing up. And at this time, I would like to give the opening to Councillor Jake Hiebert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Every so often we do things in our life that when we look back in years later, we're fulfilled that we've accomplished the article that we set out to do. Some things that stand out for me is while I was a police officer being in charge of the Franklin Graham Crusade in Winnipeg in 2006. While retired, I had a 3-week trip to Europe last year. I never had any intention of going to Europe. While a member of the Parole Board of Canada, I had occasion to travel to Colombia. In November 2005, as a member of a team of business people, I had the opportunity to travel to Medellin, Colombia, with an organization called Leader Impact, now known as Power to Change. I was the only person traveling from Manitoba. The country of Colombia is situated in the northern portion of South America and is home to approximately 50 million people. The capital of Colombia is the city of Bogota, which has 10 million people, and the city that I visited was Medellin, which has approximately 4 million people and is situated in the northern part of Colombia. It's a gorgeous place right in a bowl with mountains all around. I've got a sweater here that I purchased, which is the Colombian soccer team. Colombia is a country that almost thinks their soccer team is sacred. They know every player, they know every stat. But Medellin is noted for its past drug trade and its cartels. It was the headquarters of the most notorious cartel run by Pablo Escobar. I had the opportunity to pass by his graveside, which is more like a shrine. The older people of Medellin still revere Escobar as a good person because he was good for the economy and the livelihood in the area, stimulating the economy with monies gleaned from drug trafficking. The younger people of today, however, are aware of the damage the drug trade caused their country, people, and see Escobar for who he really was. Medellin is a predominantly Spanish population, with more than 70% are Catholic, and just over 16% are Protestants or evangelicals. The city is divided into sectors, and we were located in the safer part of the city, although when we traveled, we had to travel in large groups. The guerrilla war was still evident in the rural areas as fighting continued between the leftist guerrilla group known as FARC and the right-wing paramilitaries. The Spanish people are exceptional people and hospitality as they reached out to us and treated us. The purpose of my trip was to speak to business people in Medellin regarding how to find integrity and balance in life, balance between work, family, and personal life. The topic I chose was positional power versus personal power versus a higher power. There were approximately 14 people on our team from Canada and the United States. Among the many places I was to present was the Medellin Police Force. However, this didn't come to fruition. However, two of the venues I attended that stand out for me was the military leaders and a visit to the largest prison in Colombia. One of my presentations was at the 4th Brigade military base, headed by Brigadier Espinal. The base is part of the 7th Army Division of Colombia. I had the honor to present to more than 150 high-ranking officers for several different military bases in the area. I brought greetings on behalf of the Government of Canada and presented a couple of the officers, including the base commander, with replicas of the RCMP badge. Many of the officers had recently returned from fighting the FARC guerrillas. On one of my last days, my interpreter Juan and I also, with 2 civilians, traveled to the largest prison in Colombia, Epp Prison. A second person from Leader Impact was to accompany me, but the prison changed their mind and would not allow him entry. Ellis Prison is a very run-down and sad-looking building on the outside, and the inside is no better. The prisoners had their clothes hanging out the window openings. The prison was built for 2,000 prisoners, and at present houses over 6,000 inmates, most of who slept on the mattresses or sheets on the cement floor. A month previous, there had been a severe rains and sewer backup that contaminated everything in the prison, including the prisoners' possessions where they slept. So it's a very rundown and very unsanitary prison. It took an hour to get to prison. At the intake office, they attempted to refuse me entrance because I didn't have a proper passport with me, which earlier arrangements had been made that I only needed a driver's license. When we walked up to the security entrance, the sergeant in charge examined the admission papers and then denied me entry there too. He said the 2 guards that had been assigned to me happened to be on days off. How convenient. As I noted a high-ranking officer walking through the area, and I appealed to him, and he assigned another guard to us, and we were able to go in. We were fingerprinted, our arms were stamped, and for fluorescent stamp, and I found it of interest that somebody from another country would be allowed into a foreign prison. You'd never see that in Canada or the U.S. I realized as soon as we entered the main portion of the prison why the guard had disappeared. The guard that had been assigned to us, he was gone. Inside the prison are no guards. The prison is run by the inmates. We walked amongst the prisoners in an area towards the back of the complex, a room with 20 young inmates between 25 and 30 years of age. I spoke to them for an hour, asked them if any of them had ever had to cough previously, and of course the answer was no. I hugged each of them at length. It was sad to see these young men displaying little or no hope for a better life. We then walked to another area of the prison where there were about 45 inmates in a room. 3 or 4 of the inmates could speak English, including a man from New York. The men in this room were around 40 to 60 years of age. I spoke to them for approximately 50 minutes. We were cut short due to the supper call at 4 p.m. I was informed that the inmates miss their supper call. They don't get fed. We left the inmates and walked through the prison back to the security area. Apparently we were a couple of minutes late. Apparently we were supposed to be back at 4. So the young guard that was running the gate decided to teach us a lesson, and he had us stand there for 20 minutes and then decided to release us. We were again fingerprinted and placed our arms under the UV light to make sure that we were the same people that walked into the place. The director of the prison wanted to meet with me. I spent 20 minutes with Dr. Manuel Fiores. I brought him greetings on behalf of the Governor of Canada again and gave him an RCP badge. Like me, he had previously been a police officer. He was eager to show me the previous day's newspaper where an attempt had been made to steal his unmarked prison vehicle. On his way home, his driver had been fueling the vehicle and 2 guys placed a gun to the driver's head. The director, in plain clothes, pulled a gun from his holster, walked up to the guys and arrested them. Appears lawlessness is quite common in Colombia. The 2 of us spoke about reform, prison reform, and the Canadian parole system. Colombia does not have a parole system. Wherever I presented, I had to define what parole in fact was. Nobody had heard of the word. I'd like to share details of other venues that I attended, an exciting trip I found. However, sharing the many experiences will be left on that day. Of course, I did tour a coffee plant. I did pick coffee beans, which is not easy. I watched them being dried, I watched them being ground, packaged, and I brought back a couple of pounds of the best coffee of Colombia. Lastly, I want to leave you with a very, very favorable impression of the people of Medellin, a beautiful and wonderful people. Although most live in poverty, they are very happy and fun-loving. I still communicate with some of the Colombian people and have been invited to return. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hiebert. Okay, Council, we have the agenda in front of us. We've all had a chance to look over it. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Swagstra, second by Councillor Siemens. Any comments?
Nope.
Anything further? Okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. We have the minutes of June 16th, 2020, the regular council meeting. They start on page 1. Council looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Hiebert, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments?
None.
Nothing further?
No comments.
Okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Well, council, it is after 7:35, so we'll proceed to the public hearing. We have the 6A, the Variance V-2020-13. This is 359 Cedar Crescent on page 4 of our package. At this time, I will close the council meeting and open the public hearing. Mr. Workington, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as you mentioned, the variance file V-2020-13 for 359 Cedar Crescent. This is a variance application being made by the owners of the property, being Ken and Carmel Weeb. Purpose of the variance application is to allow an 800 square foot accessory building in use, whereas zoning bylaw permits a maximum of 700 square feet within the RLD residential low density zone. The applicant is proposing to put an addition onto the existing shed to arrive at the total square footage. Notices as required under the Planning Act have been issued. There is no written correspondence on the file. The recommendation from administration is for City Council to approve the requested variance.
Thank you, Mr. Workington. Is the applicant here today? Do you wish to speak? Only if you have further clarification or anything.
I'm just feeling very timid here.
Okay, just state your name and address, please.
I'm sorry?
State your name.
Oh, sorry, Ken Weeb, one of the owners of 359 Cedar Crescent.
Okay.
And again, when I came here, I'm thinking, I'm asking for such a tiny little thing. And I know that, Mr. Mayor, you and Councillor are tasked to run an enormous town here, an enormous city. So I feel a little bit embarrassed asking for my little favor. But I do want to say thank you for your consideration, and I do very much appreciate your at least thinking about it.
Okay, thank you. Just hold at the podium. Are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none, take your seat. Is there anyone here with questions or objections to this file? No? Okay. Seeing none, we will close the council, or close the public hearing, open the council meeting. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion that we approve.
And the seconder is Councillor Hiebert. Go ahead, Councillor Swagstra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with the applicant that this is actually a very small thing, and this is not a difficult variance to approve. The rationale is pretty straightforward. The applicant wishes to expand the size of his garage. There are no neighborhood concerns, or staff are recommending approval. I think it's pretty simple to approve the variance.
Anything further?
I would basically confirm that. The building looks aesthetically very well done. I'm looking forward to seeing that building there. I go through that backyard on a regular basis on my bicycle, and I see no problem at all.
Anything further of council? Is there anything in closing? Well, I have no objections either, so I'll go straight to the question, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, we will we'll go to 6B. This will be Variance V-2020-14, 45 Alderwood Crescent. Pardon?
You have to close the council meeting.
Right. We'll do that. Oh, I'll wait till they come in. Okay, at this time, we will close the council meeting, open the public hearing. Mr. Worthing, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, this is also an application for variance file V-2020-14 for 45 Alderwood Crescent. Owners and applicants, owners of the property and applicants for the variance are David and Heidi Grinke. Purpose of the variance application is to allow a deck to be constructed within 8.5 feet of the rear property line, whereas a minimum setback of 15 feet is required in the RLD residential low density zone. Notices as required under the Planning Act have been issued. There is no written correspondence on the file other than there is a document that has been included by the applicants indicating some neighborhood support for the requested variance. With respect to administration's comments on the file, recommendation is for City Council to approve the requested variance.
Thank you, Ms. Fortin. I see the applicant is here today. Is there anything you would like to add as the applicant to your, just if you do take the podium, state your name and address for the record?
So David Grinke, 45 Alderwood Crescent. It's our third date since COVID started, so thank you for having us here. Yeah, I wrote a letter to the neighbors kind of outlining our situation. Essentially, we decided to work on our backyard when we canceled our holiday out west, and in purchasing our hot tub, we had an understanding that we could add on a deck around the hot tub, which if it's 2 feet 1 inch over grade, then you need a permit for it. And I didn't realize that height level is there. So in talking to a neighbor, we discovered, well, he asked if I needed a permit because he was gonna add on a big deck to his backyard as well. And I said, well, I didn't think so. And that's where I realized, well, maybe I should look into this. And we're in the middle of building. So I contacted the city and talked to Trent, and he explained to me that if I lowered it to this level, I could do corner to corner. If I left it at the current level, then it wasn't within compliance on the setback distance. So we stopped construction, and we were doing some landscaping and building a fence. And once we finished the landscaping, realized that we were still a foot too high, and we decided to apply for the variance to see if that was a road we could go rather than deconstructing the fence, or sorry, deck.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor, are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone here with questions or wanting to object to this file? Sorry, Deb. Okay, seeing no objections or no comments, we will close the public hearing, open the council meeting. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Siemens?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Second by Councillor Penner. Go ahead, Councillor Siemens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Make the motion to approve this variation request. For the first time, I think in a long time, we've actually got a response from the neighbors. Neighbors have signed on in favor of a project of this size. And so he's already answered the question whether they've talked to their neighbor, and they all approve. And I think, again, this is a worthwhile project to approve. It improves the neighborhood.
Anything further?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's important to note that on variances, we always take it on a case-by-case basis. This is a case where we're talking about a lower deck. We're not talking about a 10-foot high deck. These setbacks are in place so that we're protecting the privacy of the neighbors. The neighbors do not have any concerns, and you're not particularly looking down on them. Mr. Granke, I commend you on ceasing the continued construction and following through with the proper protocols and procedures. Greatly appreciate that as well. So for those reasons, I don't see any reason why we would deny this, and I'd like to second to approve it.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
No, sir.
Okay. Yes, I also agree with this, and I stand in favor of the motion. I think you've done, Mr. Grinke, I think you've done everything well, and I think you should just go ahead and build. So we'll call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, there's no delegation. There are no reports and recommendations by the city manager. We'll go to number 9, administration. Accounts payable. We got those in the back of the book. Council, you've had a chance to review. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Hiebert, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments?
These are our monthly expenses, and they look like that in order.
Okay, anything further? Nothing further. Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. 9B, we've got bylaw 2152-14 Ellis Avenue. We're looking at first reading on that. Starts on page 31. Mr. Worthington, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of council, this is proposed bylaw 2152 for an application to rezone property located at 14 Ellis Avenue in Steinbach from RLD residential low density to RMD residential medium density. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property to allow the development of a 6-unit multifamily building. The preliminary report and information is provided by administration in the package. Recommendation is for City Council to give this bylaw first reading so that a public hearing could be scheduled for later this summer.
Okay. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion for first reading.
Okay. Do we have a second? Councillor Siemens, second? Go ahead, Councillor Siemens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As was noted, this is an application to rezone 14 Ellis from residential low density to residential medium density. What first reading does is it enables a public hearing to happen, so that way we're able to hear from both the applicant and any questions or concerns from the neighborhood. In this case here, there is one property nearby that is also zoned medium density, and there are several duplexes in the area. And so it will be interesting to see what the developer has in mind and what neighbors have to think about it. And then at that point, we'd make a final decision.
Anything further?
Just to echo those same comments, having viewed that house, it is important to go to a public hearing to see what the neighborhood thinks.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? No. Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, we got 9C, bylaw 2147. This is Maplewood Street, the third reading. Starts on page 44. Mr. Worthington, would you like to introduce this file?
Yes, this is a follow-up to an application for a rezoning under bylaw 2147. Public hearing and second reading was approved by council several weeks ago. The file is now proceeding through final approval as well as the execution of the development agreement. Recommendation is for City Council to give this bylaw third reading subject to the completion of that development agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Worthington. Yeah, council, this has been before us before. We're just looking for third reading. How would you like to proceed? Councillor Siemens?
Wish to approve.
Okay. Do we have Councillor Hiebert? Go ahead, Councillor Siemens.
May 19th, we approved second reading on this file, and we couldn't do third reading because the development plan wasn't quite completed. Now the development plan has been completed, so I would like to see this project move forward. I think it's important for the Maplewood Street, as that is a transition area that is transitioning from older homes and large lots to this multifamily.
Anything further? Anything further of council? Anything in closing? Okay. Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Number 9D, Subdivision 4451, 2020, 8288, 41 PTH 52 West. That is on page 49 of our package. Mr. Worthington, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this application for subdivision, as you've already identified, is in just outside the city's central business district at the intersection of Lowen Boulevard and PTH 52 West. The application seeks to split an existing parcel of land that is primarily zoned C3, which is commercial neighborhood zone, into two separate parcels. There is a small portion of the rear of the subject property that is currently zoned as M2 heavy industrial. However, it is expected that the intended final use will be for commercial purposes. The proposed subdivision will comply with the requirements of the city's zoning bylaw with respect to lot dimensions. A recommendation that council approve the application subject to the prior execution of the development agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Worthington. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councilor Penner?
Motion to approve?
Councilor Swager seconded? Okay. Go ahead, Councilor Penner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This is an application to subdivide a larger lot into two almost equal-sized lots. There's been no issues by the province or other entities raised. Although it is a little bit unfortunate to see a large lot being repurposed into two smaller lots, it's also important that we recognize that it's up to the landowners to decide how they want to best use their property and move on it. So that is why I'm putting the motion forward to approve.
Thank you. Anything further? Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
Nope.
Council, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Council, we're at number 10, council question period. Are there any questions of council? Okay, seeing none. Number 11, correspondences and correspondence and petitions. We've got 11A, the Epp Library. Read the minutes of May 20, 2020 and June 17, 2020, starting on page 77. Council, would you like to proceed? Take it as information? Okay. There's no other business. Council looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Hiebert, second by Councillor Hiebert. Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next regular council meeting is Tuesday, July 21st, 2020, 7:30. Thank you.
Did she go?